Hello, I am Sarah Hayes, Head of Marketing here at Babylon Microfarms, and I'm here today with Maya and Akene, our women team of horticulturists here at Babylon Microfarms. We are going to talk a little bit about what got them into horticulture and science in general to celebrate International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Maya, what inspired you to pursue a career in horticulture?
So initially, growing up in high school and middle school, I just grew a love for the environment. And thankfully, with opportunities in high school and college, I was able to pursue research opportunities in agriculture practices that ultimately motivated me to focus on that in my undergrad. And it's been very fortunate at Babylon to just continue that passion.
That's awesome. Akene, how about you?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I got into horticulture starting in 2015, so I've been in it for about 10 years now, but I was a 4-H'er, which is kind of just like a co-ed boys and girls club, and that's how I knew agriculture is a thing, and I'm really grateful for that because I love my field.
Maya, do you think you could share a bit about your role here at Babylon and what a typical day looks like for you?
Of course. So I'm the horticulture technician here, and my job sort of depends on the life cycle of the crops. So I'm always following the cycles of planting, transplanting, harvesting. I'm also in charge of the water testing as well. So I send and report on water samples that we do for all of our customers. I also do a lot of social media as well, which has been really, really fun. And also we're always doing fun trials, so it's been fun to discover ways and new processes to optimize our fleet.
How about you, Akene? Tell us a little bit about your role here at Babylon.
Yeah, so I'm the head grower here at Babylon, and a day-to-day for me kind of looks like meeting with different stakeholders, making sure that all of our farms, or hundreds and hundreds of farms, are doing what they should, what we promise them to do. Since we're remotely managed, it can be tough. A head grower typically touches the lettuce or whatever the crop is and can make tweaks to their environment how they see fit. But for Babylon, since our farms are remote, it's super important for the head grower to get a jump on any possible thing that could go wrong and only offer crops and different types of nutrients and inputs that are going to perform the way they should. So a day-to-day is making sure we're doing what we should do so our farms are performing as they should, and also optimizing, kind of like Maya said, developing trials and so forth.
Fantastic. And what's your favorite part about working in horticulture, Maya?
I'd say my favorite part about working in horticulture is pretty much seeing the crop cycle through and through. Like, I see the plants from seed to harvest. So it's really cool to apply what biological processes and everything I've learned through Akene, through my undergrad, and sort of seeing that right before my eyes. That's probably the coolest part.
Akene, what's your favorite part about working in horticulture?
I'd probably say my favorite part about working in horticulture is that there's just so many possibilities. Our job is so interesting. It's always changing. It's always developing. And as the industry grows, so do the possibilities. So it's full of discovery. I mean, working with plants is already so cool and so rewarding. But yeah, I definitely love that there's no ceiling to horticulture.
Have you faced any challenges as a woman in science and specifically horticulture, and how have you overcome those?
Fortunately, I have not experienced any challenges so far, knock on wood. It is only my first year out of undergrad, but Babylon has created such a safe and healthy environment for me to flourish and voice my opinions, voice my ideas, so I've been very fortunate.
Kene, have you faced any challenges in horticulture, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a super great question, especially as a woman in the industry. Like many industries, this is a male-dominated one. So, challenges that I've faced personally is probably surrounding confidence. It's like when you walk into a room and it is like maybe 5% women, and then on top of that, maybe 2% Black people, and I'm a Black woman, like, you have to make room for yourself and speak with conviction because you are an expert in this field. So throughout the years, I definitely believe my confidence has strengthened, and that comes with experience and learning more and more, making mistakes. But yeah, I definitely say that's number one, just coming in with the same level that men bring to the space. And yeah, taking up space. So yeah.
What advice would you give to young girls interested in STEM, particularly in horticulture?
I would tell young women who are interested in horticulture and STEM in general to just stick with it. Growing up, I was probably the only one out of my peers that was even remotely interested or knew about the topic. And it's such an important field. So even though you feel alone, the more I've grown in the industry, I've met people and I've met women who have really shown leadership in the field and just how important it is.
What advice would you give to young girls interested in STEM?
I would say, number one, believe in yourself. Definitely you are bringing so much to the field via intelligence and your perspective. So one, join STEM, like start, and two, don't give up. Like there's going to be challenges and sometimes you're going to feel out of place, but we need you in this space. So yeah, that's what I would say to them.
Awesome. Are there any women in science or agriculture that have inspired you?
Totally, yeah. Growing up, there were women like Rosalind D. Franklin who discovered the DNA structure and wasn't credited. That was a really big hitting point growing up. Jane Goodall, I was obsessed with her work with chimpanzee conservation. Rachel Carson, who had the work of getting rid of DDT with her work on synthetic pesticides. And more recently, Katia Echarzeta, I think I'm pronouncing that right, was the first Mexican woman in space. And so there's so many women leading in the field, and it's exciting to see where they'll go.
How about you? Who inspired you, Akene?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start with my mom, of course. She's a pediatrician, she's a doctor, and so, I mean, growing up, I always knew I kind of wanted to do sciences. I didn't end up being a doctor. I mean, that kind of grosses me out a little bit, veered towards the plant side of things. But yeah, my mom, 100%. But aside from that, I'd probably say the NASA team. I think it's Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Bond, and Mary Jackson. They were all mathematicians working at NASA, all black women. They have a movie called Hidden Figures. But yeah, they were super, super instrumental in the space race with the Soviet Union. And so incredibly inspiring team, incredibly inspiring women. And yeah, I definitely aspire to deliver like they do.
How do you see Babylon Microfarms contributing to the future of sustainability?
Well, I'm already seeing the change that it's making day to day. As we enter more states, more countries around the world, we're bringing people closer to their food supply, and in turn, like increasing the knowledge around crop production. So we're already on the route. We just got to keep pushing.
Absolutely. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Babylon is super unique in its product offering, just bringing farms and plants to people, real people that are otherwise unfamiliar with the space. And so what I see for Babylon and what Babylon's already doing is making agriculture way more accessible. It shows that your produce doesn't just appear in the grocery store, it doesn't grow in the grocery store. It's not magic. So just sort of that learning tool, whether it be our remotely managed farms or the STEM garden or a new product offering, the Gallery Light. I think it's so cool that our farms give people a chance to grow crops.
What's one exciting innovation or discovery in horticulture that you think more people should know about?
I'm gonna bring up the idea of genetically engineered plants, GMOs, like learning about them, the way it's dating back to 10,000 years ago. And a lot of people, I feel like, are scared of the acronym without knowing exactly what it is, but it's implemented in everyday life and it has been for a while. So it's really interesting to learn about it, and I feel like people need to familiarize themselves with it.
How about you? Any innovations or discoveries that you think people should know about?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to piggyback off of what Maya just mentioned. GMOs, genetically modified organisms, is what it stands for. And that's just breeding, you know, like it's choosing one trait that you like, another trait that you like, and bringing them together. I think that's super confused with genetically engineered, where, you know, you're introducing a foreign whatever from some other crop. And there's 13 crops in the world that are genetically engineered. Everything else genetically modified. So don't be afraid of that. But I would say for me, I am super excited about just the space in general, vertical farming. I mean, this is relatively new. Greenhouses have always been around, but with the innovation of LED lighting, energy, I mean, it's creating whole new worlds where we can grow crops all year round, which is so cool. Something we talk about all the time in this space. And so we're all familiar with it, but I'm excited for it to become like, more talked about and like a common understanding, like outdoor ag.
Absolutely agree, and I think it's really cool to highlight, especially being able to grow year-round. Imagining a farm in Minnesota producing amazing greens in December wouldn't have happened years ago, so definitely exciting that we're able to do that. Can you share a success story or moment that made you feel proud of your work?
Of course. I think it's sort of a plethora of moments. I think being part of the trials, the preliminary trials, the documentation, having my own language and some user guides, like when we finally launch a product such as the recent STEM garden, the new gallery light, it's been really cool to see like I contributed to that, and it's just really cool, and we're going to be doing way more in the future.
Absolutely. Can you share a success story or moment that makes you feel proud of your work?
I gotta say, meeting former Vice President Kamala Harris, that was the epitome of a career, the coolest experience ever to shake hands, talk to, and teach such a impressive leader of like our entire generation. So yeah, I mean, that one's tough to beat.
If you could grow only one plant for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
I interpreted this question as if I were stranded on an island. So my answer is going to be something like corn, which sounds boring, but there's so many different uses for it: food, animal fuel, feed, biofuel. So that's probably the smartest answer I can give.
I think the corn kid would agree with you. If you could grow one crop for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
I would probably have to say tomatoes, mainly because I like how there's dwarf tomatoes, there's indeterminate tomatoes, meaning they just grow super tall. I love all the different forms and types of tomatoes. As a horticulturist, it's really fun to try out lots of different versions and try to optimize for that. So I think I could spend a lifetime growing tomatoes and never get bored. I think a runner-up would be strawberries, because that's another one that could be fun for a long time.
What is a common misconception that people have about hydroponics?
One common misconception I'd say about hydroponics is honestly how easy it is. They don't know that, I think. It seems intimidating at first, but honestly, the way Babylon has created our guided growing app has made it so easy to comprehend how growing works. And now I have the tools and capabilities to go do this on my own. And like, as Akene has taught me as my mentor, she has shown me how if you pay attention to the plants, they'll tell you what they need. So that's been a really cool thing, and I hope more people will be able to learn.
That is very exciting. What would you say is a common misconception people have about horticulture or indoor farming space?
I mean, I love Maya's answer of like, you can do it. Anyone can do it. It's a super learnable skill. I would probably say a common misconception is that it's just like liquid or just water. You're probably doing hydroponics already if you buy potting mix from Home Depot. It's anything that's soilless media. So if you don't dig it out of the ground, literally, you're probably doing hydroponics. Peat moss, coconut coir, whatever it is. Just because it looks like it came out of the ground doesn't mean it did. So that's a super common misconception. It's kind of niche. But yeah, I think it's important that in this industry we kind of define those terms and be those people to speak on it.
Fantastic. That's something that I also didn't know for a while, was that peat moss is actually, in a way, a form of algae, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. How do you stay curious and continue learning in hydroponics?
I stay curious by new challenges and problems that arrive. It's a matter of, if a problem comes up, we don't know how to handle it, we research, see what other people have done. Obviously, there's a lot of great articles, journals out there that scientists have done. So it's been cool to challenge ourselves on how different processes will work with our very niche units. So that's been a really cool experience I've had at Babylon, just to see how our units will compensate for that.
Absolutely. And how do you stay curious, Akene?
That is a really good question. I mean, I definitely agree. As new sort of questions come up, our approach to answering them, that's always going to be something extremely rewarding. I also love, like, as new technology arises, it presents us as growers an opportunity to learn and advance in our skills. And so, like, artificial intelligence, for example, can be super intimidating to a grower, and it's like, you know, it's working the way that I have it working. I don't need to integrate that, but I definitely think it helps me stay curious and want to stay on the cutting edge of the new technologies that are being offered to us so that we can optimize our practices and get even better. I mean, is Babylon going to go that route? Who knows? We're a young company, and that's why it's fun. That's why I'm curious.
Sounds great. Well, thank you ladies both very much for joining me today, and follow along with us to see what Maya and Akene are up to here at Babylon Microfarms.